double trouble. All the engines were very excited. They chuffed cheerfully and chattered as they clattered along the tracks. Today was the Fat Controller's birthday, and there was to be the grandest birthday party on Sodor. Thomas had a very special. He was to pick up the Fat Controller and Lady Hatt for the party. As Thomas approached Maithwaite Station, he gasped. Ahead, he could see the Fat Controller already on the platform.
Cinders and ashes, I must be late.
Thomas pulled into the station. He was worried.
I'm sorry, sir. I thought I was early.
The Fat Controller turned around. Thomas gasped. The Fat Controller had a moustache. Thomas was so surprised he nearly popped a piston.
Thomas, my good friend, you're looking perfectly polished today.
Thank you, sir.
The Fat Controller chuckled so loudly his top hat wobbled. Thomas was puzzled. The Fat Controller never chuckled so loudly that his top hat wobbled, and the Fat Controller never called Thomas his good friend.
I know, Thomas. Let's go to the Whispering Woods. It's one of my favourite spots. We have plenty of time before the party. All aboard!
Now Thomas was even more puzzled. He wanted to ask about the Fat Controller's new moustache and why he was acting so strangely. But Thomas didn't want to look silly, so he decided not to ask. Thomas pulled away from Maithwaite Station and chuffed towards the Whispering Woods. Thomas puffed up to the Whispering Woods. Edward was there. Edward had brought children to visit the woods. Then he was to take them to the party.
Hello, Edward.
Hello, Thomas. You look worried.
Thomas was worried, but before he could explain, the Fat Controller climbed down.
Marvellous! What fun!
Please, sir. We can't stay long. The children mustn't be late for the party.
Oh, party smarty, Thomas. We have plenty of time. You worry too much.
And the Fat Controller strode off.
Hello, children. Who'd like a game of hide and seek?
Did the Fat Controller say a game of hide and seek?
Yes, he did.
And Thomas's wheels wobbled with worry. The Fat Controller played hide and seek for a long time. He was very happy. So were the children. Edward was puzzled.
The Fat Controller never plays hide and seek.
I know.
And what's that on his face?
A moustache. It just appeared. Today, the Fat Controller doesn't seem like the Fat Controller at all.
Just then, the Fat Controller came back. Thomas wanted to ask him if he was feeling all right, but he didn't want to look silly. Thomas knew that silly engines weren't really useful engines, so he didn't ask any questions.
We must hurry now, sir. We'll be late.
And so will the children.
But the Fat Controller wasn't worried.
Don't hurry the children, Edward. Let them play.
Edward was so surprised his boiler bubbled. Then the Fat Controller jumped aboard Annie and waved to all the children. Thomas's wheels clickety-clacked. He puffed and he huffed along the track. He knew they were late for the party. Thomas stopped at the junction. Suddenly, the Fat Controller jumped out of Annie and climbed up to the signal box.
I won't be a moment, Thomas.
Thomas was amazed. So was the signalman. The Fat Controller never came into his signal box.
Hello there. May I have a turn?
Thomas looked up. He saw the Fat Controller pull a lever. Then Thomas heard Gordon's whistle.
Cinders and ashes. Here comes Gordon.
Gordon had all the important visitors aboard the express. He was taking them to the party. With a clang and a clatter, the points changed. Gordon and the express were no longer on the express track. They were now on a branch line heading away from the party. Thomas heard the Fat Controller whoop for joy.
Hurrah!
Fizzling fireboxes. I must ask the Fat Controller why he's being so strange.
But when the Fat Controller came down from the signal box, Thomas didn't say anything. He still didn't want to look silly.
What fun! All aboard, Thomas!
Thomas raced towards Maithwaite. Lady Hatt would be waiting. They were very late. Thomas was worried.
First, the Fat Controller had a moustache. Next, he wanted to play hide-and-seek with the children. Then he sent Gordon off the express line and away from the party. The Fat Controller is acting very strangely indeed.
Thomas puffed into Maithwaite. The station master was cross.
Thomas, you are late. The Fat Controller and Lady Hatt had to go to the party in Bertie the bus. But Bertie hasn't arrived at the party. Neither have the children or the very important visitors.
Thomas was puzzled.
If the Fat Controller is on Bertie, then who is on board Annie?
Just then, Thomas's passenger stepped down. Thomas knew he had to ask the question he hadn't asked before, even if he looked silly.
Excuse me, Fat Controller. You don't quite seem yourself today. Is everything all right?
Thomas's passenger beamed brightly.
Yes, Thomas, but I'm not the Fat Controller. I'm Stallone Hatt. I'm his brother.
Thomas was amazed. That explained everything. But he wished now he had asked his question earlier. Now there was no time to waste if he wanted to be a really useful engine.
Bertie must have broken down. We must find him right away.
The Fat Controller's brother was very excited.
Hurrah! Another game of hide-and-seek.
Now Thomas was stern.
No, Salome Hat. I have to work hard and quickly. Otherwise your brother's party will be spoiled.
Salome boarded Annie and Thomas puffed away. Thomas found Bertie the bus. Smoke billowed from his engine. Bertie looked very unhappy. So did the Fat Controller and Lady Hatt.
Thomas, where have you been?
Just then, the Fat Controller's brother stepped down from Annie. The Fat Controller sighed.
Oh no, Loam. Have you been up to your old tricks again? Absolutely right, Topham. I've been having a wonderful time with Thomas.
The Fat Controller didn't think this was funny at all.
Loam, you have caused confusion and delay. We must hurry.
Thomas delivered the Fat Controller, his brother and Lady Hatt to the party, just in time. The party looked grand, but Thomas couldn't stay. He had work to do. First, Thomas chuffed to the Whispering Woods. Edward was very happy to see Thomas.
Go straight to the party with the children, Edward. The Fat Controller is waiting. It was his brother, Salome, who was playing hide-and-seek.
Next, Thomas found Gordon. Gordon was huffing and puffing as slowly as a snail down a rickety branch line.
Oh, the indignity.
Hurry, Gordon, to the next express line. Race like a rocket to the party.
That made Gordon very happy. At last, Thomas chuffed back to the party. Edward and Gordon were already there.
What a wonderful party!
And it was. Everyone was laughing. Then Thomas and his friends heard something very extraordinary. The Fat Controller chuckled even louder than his brother, and that made Thomas happiest of all. Thomas and the pigs. There are lots and lots of farms on the Island of Sodor. There are farms with sheep. There are farms with cows. There are farms with goats. Thomas likes visiting all the farms. But his favourite farm of all was Farmer Trotter's pig farm. Thomas liked their curly tails and the funny noises they made. Thomas liked to visit Farmer Trotter's pig farm as often as he could. One day, Thomas was watching the pigs roll in the mud. Farmer Trotter was happy to see Thomas.
Hello, Farmer Trotter.
Hello, Thomas. I have some very special news. One of my pigs is going to have piglets today.
Thomas was excited.
I can't wait to see them.
I need some soft straw for the piglets. I'd like you to go to Farmer McCall's right now to collect it. He'll be waiting for you.
Thomas was happy to help.
Yes, Farmer Trotter.
So Thomas chuffed cheerfully away with his empty flatbed. On his way to Farmer McCall's, Thomas thought about the pigs.
I'm sure the piglets will like the soft straw. I wonder if there's anything else they'd like.
Thomas puffed up to the dairy. He saw Percy. Thomas told Percy all about the piglets.
How exciting! I wish I could see them, but I have to deliver this milk.
Thomas looked at the milk churns. An idea flew into his funnel.
I'm sure the piglets would like some milk. May I have some?
Of course you can, Thomas.
So the milk churns were loaded onto Thomas's flatbed.
Thank you, Percy. I must go. Farmer McCall is waiting for me.
And he steamed away. Thomas felt pleased.
I wonder what else the piglets might like.
Then Thomas saw James. James was at an orchard. The trees were full of juicy red apples.
Hello, James.
Hello, Thomas.
Thomas told James all about the piglets.
The piglets will soon be born. I must collect some soft straw for them.
I wish I could see the piglets, but I have to deliver these boxes of apples to the village.
Thomas looked at the juicy red apples.
I'm sure the piglets would like some juicy red apples. May I have some?
Of course you can.
So Thomas's flatbed was loaded with lots and lots of juicy red apples.
Thank you, James. I must go. Farmer McCall is waiting for me.
Thomas chuffed quickly away. He felt very pleased.
I wonder what else the piglets might like.
Then Thomas saw some children. They were collecting shiny brown chestnuts.
Hello.
Thomas told the children all about the piglets. They were very excited.
I'm sure the piglets would like some shiny brown chestnuts to eat. Please, may I have some for them?
The children were delighted to give Thomas some of the shiny brown chestnuts.
Thank you. I must go. Farmer McCall is waiting for me.
And Thomas puffed away. He felt even more pleased. At last, Thomas chuffed to Farmer McCall's farm. Farmer McCall was waiting. He was cross.
Thomas, you're late. Where have you been?
I'm sorry, Farmer McCall. I stopped to collect some milk, some juicy red apples and some shiny brown chestnuts for the piglets.
Farmer McCall looked at Thomas's flatbed. He saw the milk, the juicy red apples and shiny brown chestnuts.
Your flatbed is full. You have no room for straw now.
Fizzling fireboxes. I didn't think about that. I hope the piglets will like the milk, the apples and the chestnuts just as much as straw. I must puff straight back to Farmer Trotter's. The piglets will be born soon.
So Thomas pumped his pistons and chuffed quickly away. Thomas pulled up at the farm. Farmer Trotter was waiting. He looked at Thomas's full flatbed. He was surprised.
Thomas, where's the soft straw?
I thought the piglets would like these things just as much as straw.
No, Thomas. Piglets need soft straw, and they're about to be born.
Thomas felt very silly.
I'm sorry. I'll empty my flatbed, then I'll puff back to Farmer McCall's as fast as I can. I must get the straw. There can be no delay. The piglets will need it by the end of the day.
Thomas saw Percy at the water tower.
Thomas, I know something else the piglets would like.
I'm sorry, Percy. I can't stop.
Bye, Thomas.
I must get the straw. There can be no delay. I've no time for chatter along the way.
Next, Thomas saw James at a junction.
Hello, Thomas. I've been thinking about the piglets. I'm sure they'd like...
I'm sorry, James. I can't stop. I must get the straw. There can be no delay. I've no time for chatter along the way.
Thomas whooshed and he wheeshed, he huffed and he puffed until he arrived at Farmer McColl's farm. It was late.
Hello, Farmer McColl. Now I have plenty of room for the soft straw for the piglets. Could you load it right now?
Of course I can, Thomas.
Thank you, Farmer McColl. I must hurry.
Thomas's pistons pumped and his axles ached.
I must puff fast. There's no time for delay. The piglets need straw by the end of the day.
At last, Thomas arrived at Farmer Trotter's pig farm. It was now nearly night time. Thomas saw that the pigs had gone.
Cinders and ashes. I'm too late.
You're just in time, Thomas. I need that soft straw right away.
Farmer Trotter unloaded the straw from Thomas's flatbed, and he took it away to make a nice soft bed for the piglets.
The piglets have just been born.
Thomas was delighted.
Bubbling boilers. Look how small they are and how sweet.
Thomas could see the piglets really liked the soft straw.
Oh, that little piglet is looking at me.
I think I'll call him Thomas.
Thomas was so happy his axles tingled and his boiler bubbled. Toby's new whistle. It was a bright sunny day on the Island of Sodor. All the engines chuffed cheerfully. Everyone was smiling. Everyone except Toby. Toby was at the steamworks. Toby's bell had stopped working. It was covered in rust and didn't clang and chime anymore. It had to stay in the steamworks to be cleaned. So Toby was very sad. Victor didn't have another bell for Toby, so he had to be fitted with a new steam whistle.
Easy does it, Kevin, my friend. Left a little, no, right a little. Perfect. Very good, my friend. How does that feel, Toby?
Toby thought the new whistle felt very strange. It was much bigger than his old bell. He was worried.
I've never used a steam whistle before.
James chuffed into the steamworks with the fat controller.
Hello, Toby. That's a 3-chime steam whistle. I used to have one of those.
This made Toby even more worried.
Is it a good whistle?
It's the best. It's the loudest whistle in the whole of Sodor.
The loudest?
Yes, it's loud and booming. Everyone will hear you coming.
Toby didn't like this. He didn't like loud and booming noises. He liked the ting-a-ling-a-ling of his old bell.
Toby, you must go to Knapford and collect Lady Hatt. She's waiting, so don't be late.
Yes, sir.
So Toby chuffed off to Knapford Station with his new 3-chime steam whistle.
I wish I had my old bell back. I don't know how to use this new loud and booming 3-chime steam whistle.
Then an idea flew into Toby's funnel.
If I puff slowly and carefully, I won't need to use my whistle at all. I can do all my jobs and wait for my old bell to be fixed.
This made Toby feel much happier. Toby steamed slowly through Sodor. Gordon huffed and puffed impatiently behind him.
Out of my way, Toby, you old steam tram! You're making me late!
Later, some cows were on the tracks in front of Toby. He couldn't puff past them.
Go away, cows, please. I need to chuff through.
But the cows didn't take any notice of Toby. They didn't move. They were too busy mooing and chewing. Toby knew what he needed to do. He needed to blow his new steam whistle. But Toby was scared.
I don't want to use this new 3-chime steam whistle. I wish I had my little bell back.
Then another idea flew into Toby's funnel.
I know what I can do. I'll get help.
So Toby reversed down the track to find help. Some farm workers were working in the field.
Excuse me. Hello? Hello?
The farm workers didn't hear Toby. Toby blew steam and rattled his rods. But the farm workers still didn't hear Toby. They were too far away.
Bust my buffers, they can't hear me.
Toby knew he should use his new steam whistle, but he was still too scared.
I wish I had my little bell back.
So Toby puffed on. Somewhere he had to find help. But Toby couldn't find anybody to help him. So he huffed back to the cows.
I do hope the cows have gone back to their field now.
But the cows hadn't gone back to their field. They were still mooing and chewing all over the tracks.
Oh, no!
Toby tried to biff them with his cowcatcher. But they still wouldn't move.
Oh, no, Henrietta. I think we're trapped.
Then there was trouble. Toby heard a noise that made his wheels wobble.
Another engine is coming. They'll crash into the cows.
The engine steamed round the corner. It was Thomas. Thomas was racing like the wind. His firebox was fuming and his boiler was burning brightly.
I have to tell Thomas about the cows. I'll have to use this new whistle.
Toby closed his eyes. His firebox flared and steam blew into his new 3-chime steam whistle. It was the loudest whistle anyone had ever heard on Sodor.
What was that?
It was a 3-chime steam whistle. They're the best whistles ever. I wonder who blew that.
Thomas heard the 3-chime steam whistle.
Cinders and ashes! I must stop!
He applied his brakes. Thomas screeched and skidded. Sparks flew and tracks trembled. Toby didn't dare look.
Ew! Thank you, Toby. Your whistle told me there was trouble ahead.
Toby felt very proud.
I'm pleased I used my 3-chime steam whistle. It was even louder than my bell.
Thomas was proud of his friend Toby. Together with their whistles and wheesh, Toby and Thomas moved the cows from the track. Then Toby remembered Lady Hatt.
Fizzling fireboxes. I've forgotten all about Lady Hatt. She's waiting for me at Knapford. I must puff faster than Gordon to chuff there on time.
Don't worry, Toby. I'll puff with you. We're sure to make it together.
Thomas and Toby huffed and puffed towards Knapford Station. Suddenly, the Fat Controller arrived. He was very cross.
Toby, Lady Hatt waited for a very long time. Now Gordon is taking her home.
Toby was upset. He knew he hadn't been a really useful engine.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Then Toby stopped. He saw something ahead.
There's a fallen tree across the tracks. And Gordon is steaming straight towards it.
Oh, no!
Don't worry, sir. I know just what to do.
Toby bubbled his boiler and pumped his pistons. He blew his three-chime steam whistle as loudly and as boomingly as he could. Gordon heard Toby's whistle. He applied his brakes and screeched to a halt.
Toby, did you blow that whistle so loudly?
Yes, I did. It was my new three-chime steam whistle.
For a steam tram, you have a lot of puff. Thank you.
Well done, Toby.
Toby couldn't have felt more proud.
Good job, Toby.
Toby was back at the steamworks. His little bell was ready. It glistened and gleamed as if it were brand new. Toby was happy.
Bye-bye, big new steam whistle.
Victor and Kevin had heard the news that Toby had saved Thomas and Gordon.
Well, Toby, my friend, it sounds as if you had a very busy day. Did you like the new three-chime steam whistle?
It was very useful.
You can keep it if you like, my friend.
No, thank you. My bell is the best of all.
Thomas and the Runaway Kite. It was a windy morning on the Island of Sodor. It was the day of the Sodor Kite Festival. Soon the sky would be full of kites of all shapes and colours. The engines were very excited about the Kite Festival. Thomas was the most excited of all, because Thomas liked kites best of all. Thomas puffed into Brendam Docks. He had a very special. He was to collect the winner's cup for the Kite Festival. Thomas gasped when he saw the cup.
Oh my! That's the most beautiful cup I've ever seen.
Thomas, you must deliver the winner's cup to Knapford Station. Lady Hatt will give it to the winner at tea time.
Thomas beamed from buffer to buffer.
Yes, sir. I will chuff straight there.
Thomas puffed proudly. He wanted everyone to see that he was pulling the winner's cup. Thomas pulled up to a junction. High in the sky, above the treetops, he saw a kite.
Fizzling fireboxes. What a wonderful kite. I hope I'll see it again.
Thomas huffed and chuffed to the top of Gordon's Hill. Then he gasped.
There's that wonderful kite again.
The kite belonged to the Fat Controller's grandchildren. They wanted to win the cup at the Kite Festival. Charlie puffed up.
Look at that kite swoop through the air!
Look, there's Thomas.
Suddenly a gust of wind pulled at the kite. The kite flew up, and away. The Fat Controller's grandchildren watched. They were very sad. Thomas wanted to help them.
Don't be sad. I'll chase after your kite and bring it back to you.
This made the children very happy.
I'm the fastest engine on Sodor. I can catch up with your kite.
I'll help you, Thomas.
No, thank you, Charlie. I'm much faster than you. I can chase this kite all by myself.
So Thomas didn't go straight to Knapford with the winner's cup. He chuffed off, chasing the Fat Controller's grandchildren's runaway kite. The wind blew the kite far down the tracks. Thomas whooshed and wheeshed. His boiler bubbled, his coal crackled.
I must keep up with the runaway kite. I'll puff and I'll huff with all of my might. I'm the fastest engine on Sodor.
Then the wind blew the kite out of sight.
Where has the kite gone?
Hello, Thomas. You're huffing hard.
Hello, Edward. I'm chasing the Fat Controller's grandchildren's kite.
How exciting. Can I help?
No, thank you, Edward. I'm the fastest engine on Sodor. I can chase their kite all by myself.
At last, Thomas caught up with the kite. He was excited. Then, the wind blew the kite another way.
cinders and ashes. Come back, Mr. Kite, please.
Thomas chased and raced.
I must keep up with the runaway kite. I'll puff and I'll huff with all of my might. I'm the fastest engine on Sodor.
Then the wind blew the kite up over the bridge. Emily was on the bridge. She saw the kite. She was surprised.
Hello, Thomas. Are you chasing that kite?
Yes, Emily. It has blown away from the Fat Controller's grandchildren. I've promised I'll catch it.
Can I help?
No, thank you, Emily. I'm the fastest engine on Sodor. I can chase it all by myself.
And Thomas whooshed on under the bridge. Thomas clattered and clacked.
I must keep up with the runaway kite. I'll puff and I'll huff with all of my might. I'm the fastest engine on Sodor.
What's wrong, Thomas? Your cheeks are as red as James's boiler.
I'm chasing that kite.
Let me help. I can chase it with you.
No, thank you. I can chase this kite all by myself. I'm the fastest engine on Sodor.
So Percy chuffed off and Thomas puffed on. At last the wind dropped. The kite landed in front of Thomas near a junction. Thomas was pleased.
Bubbling boilers, I've caught up with you now, Mr. Kite.
Thomas whooshed across the junction towards the kite. Then there was trouble. Thomas started juddering and jittering. The flame in Thomas's firebox flickered and fizzled out. Thomas had burned all his coal chasing the runaway kite.
Oh my, oh no! I've run out of coal!
Then the wind blew again. The kite flew high in the sky and was gone.
I can't puff anymore. I can't chase the kite. I'm not the fastest engine on Sodor. I've broken my promise to the children and I haven't delivered the winner's cup to Knapford Station.
Thomas felt terrible.
It's all my fault.
Suddenly, Thomas heard an engine chuffing around the corner. It was Charlie.
What's wrong, Thomas?
I ran out of coal trying to chase the kite.
I thought you were the fastest engine on Sodor.
I'm not. I was silly to think I could catch the kite on my own. Will you help me, Charlie?
Of course I will, Thomas.
Charlie gave Thomas some of his coal. Soon, Thomas's firebox was burning brightly.
Thank you, Charlie. I'm late. I must deliver the winner's cup to Knapford Station. Can you look for the kite, please?
With all my huff and chuff, Thomas.
So Thomas puffed to Knapford with the winner's cup. On his way to Knapford, Thomas stopped at a junction. Percy, Emily and Edward were waiting.
You look sad, Thomas.
I didn't catch the Fat Controller's grandchildren's kite. Will you all help me?
Of course we will, Thomas.
Right away.
With no delay.
Thomas's friends were happy to help him, and Thomas was happy to be helped. Thomas arrived at Knapford Station with the winner's cup. The Fat Controller's grandchildren raced over.
Hi, Thomas.
They hoped Thomas had found their kite.
I haven't found your kite, but all my friends are looking for it now. Come with me.
So the children climbed cheerfully on board. Thomas puffed to a junction. Suddenly, the kite flew in front of Thomas.
There's the kite!
Emily, Percy, Edward and Charlie chuffed to the junction. The kite danced between them. Then, it caught its tail on the signal.
Hooray! We've caught the kite!
The engines tooted, the children cheered.
With the help of my friends, we caught the kite.
And later that day, at the Kite Gala, the Fat Controller's grandchildren's kite danced best of all, as the wind blew it high up in the sky, and Thomas smiled and smiled. The biggest present of all. For all the engines on the Island of Sodor, there are jobs to be done, visitors to meet, and friends to greet. One day, there was a very special friend to greet. Hiro was coming back to Sodor. He was to help with the summer visitors. Thomas and Percy waited for him at Brendam Docks.
I'm so excited. My firebox is fizzing.
And my boiler is bubbling.
Hiro, our special friend, is coming back to Sodor.
Hello, my good friends. I have missed you.
We missed you too, Hiro.
The three engines tooted and hooted with happiness.
Welcome back, Hiro. First, you must go to the steamworks. Victor will check your engine after your long journey.
Of course, sir. Every day, I want to be a really useful engine.
Then, you must go to Knapford Station. I will meet you there.
Yes, sir. Of course, sir.
Hiro puffed proudly away.
I want there to be a welcome party for Hiro at Knapford. Percy, you must collect Lady Hatt and bring her to the party. Thomas, you must tell the engines to chuff quickly to Knapford for the party.
Then the Fat Controller left. Thomas and Percy were excited.
Oh my! A welcome party will make Hiro very happy.
A welcome present would make Hiro even happier.
That's a good idea. I must go now, Thomas. Lady Hatt will be waiting.
Then Thomas steamed slowly away.
I'm sure I'll find something special for Hiro. I'll look as I puff around the island, telling my friends about the party.
Thomas clickety-clacked along the track.
Something special from Sodor for my new friend. I'll search the whole island from end to end.
Then an idea flew into Thomas's funnel.
I'm sure there'll be something special at Farmer McColl's farm.
So Thomas pumped his pistons and raced to Farmer McColl's farm. Emily was there. She was collecting straw.
Hiro has come back. I'm finding a welcome present for him.
That's exciting. Good luck, Thomas.
Emily puffed away. Thomas didn't tell her about the party at Knapford. He was too busy looking for a welcome present. Thomas saw the big brown barn.
Perhaps Hiro would like a barn. He could keep special things safe in a barn. But the barn is too big.
And Thomas steamed slowly away.
Something special from Sodor for my new friend. I'll search the whole island from end to end.
Then another idea flew into Thomas's funnel.
I'm sure there'll be something special at the quarry.
So Thomas huffed happily to the quarry. Mavis, James, Toby and Henry were there. They were busy shunting slate trucks.
Hiro has come back. I'm finding a welcome present for him.
That's a wonderful idea, Thomas.
Henry, James and Toby chuffed away to shunt trucks. Thomas didn't tell them about the party at Knapford. Thomas looked all around the quarry, but all he could see was Sodor slate.
Slate is very special to Sodor, but slate is too small to be a present. I must look for something else.
So Thomas chuffed away.
Something special from Sodor for my new friend. I'll search the whole island from end to end.
Then Thomas gasped.
The steamworks! I'm sure there'll be something special there.
So Thomas chuffed cheerfully to the steamworks.
Hello, Kevin. I'm looking for a welcome present for Hiro. It has to be something special.
Thomas saw an old bell.
I'm sure Hiro would like a bell. Then everyone would hear him coming.
Good idea, Thomas. Good idea.
But when Kevin picked up the bell, it clanged and clanked. It rang and rattled.
Trembling tracks. That's too noisy.
Hiro will soon be at Knapford to see the Fat Controller.
Bust my buffers. I must hurry.
Thomas raced out of the steamworks. He didn't tell Victor and Kevin about the party either. Thomas raced into Knapford Station. Hiro was waiting, all alone. Thomas gasped.
Cinders and ashes. I haven't found a welcome present for Hiro, and I haven't told anyone about the party. This won't make Hiro happy.
Thomas felt terrible. Then his boiler bubbled and his wheels whirred.
Hello, Hiro. Goodbye, Hiro.
And Thomas steamed swiftly out of the station. Thomas puffed to Farmer McColl's.
Emily, chuff as fast as you can to Knapford. The Fat Controller is having a welcome party for Hiro. Tell everyone you pass.
Thomas, I've had a marvellous idea for a special present for Hiro. I'm sure he would like a bright, shiny dome. Victor must have one.
Thomas was stern.
Thank you, Emily. Now is not the time to find presents. You must hurry.
And Thomas chuffed quickly away. Mavis, Toby, James and Henry were still at the quarry.
You must all chuff to Knapford as fast as you can for Hiro's welcome party.
Thomas, I think I know exactly what Hiro would like as a special present. A new glowing lamp. That would be very special.
Thomas was firm.
Thank you, Henry. Now is not the time to find presents. You must hurry.
And Thomas pumped his pistons and puffed away.
Kevin, please tell all the engines to race to Knapford for Hiro's party.
My friend, Kevin and I have been thinking, what about a new, shiny buffer for Hiro?
I think Hiro would find that very special. Don't you think so, boss? Thomas?
Thomas knew what he thought.
I think now is not the time to find presents. Thank you, but you must tell the engines to hurry, please.
And Thomas pumped his pistons and puffed away. Thomas clickety-clacked down the track this way and that, telling his friends all about the party. Thomas puffed into Knapford Station. His face was red and his firebox glowed.
Thomas, where have you been? Hiro's welcome party is almost over.
I'm sorry, sir. I was trying to find you a welcome present, Hiro. Something special from Sodor. But I couldn't find anything. I'm sorry.
Hiro smiled.
Thomas, my friend, you must not worry. My welcome present is right here. Being with my friends is the biggest present of all. And the most special present from Sodor. There is nothing more special.
Then Thomas smiled and smiled. He knew Hiro was right, and so did all his friends. Hiro Helps Out. The engines on the Island of Sodor like to be busy. They heave and haw. They huff and puff. And most of all, they like to please the Fat Controller. One morning, Hiro chuffed into Knapford Station. There was hustle and bustle, noise and steam. It was another busy day at Knapford. Then, the Fat Controller hurried onto the platform without his hat. Hiro gasped.
Sir, good morning, sir. I hope the day finds you well, sir.
The day finds me with much too much to do, Hiro. That's how the day finds me.
I can see, sir.
What are you staring at, Hiro?
Nothing, sir. Just your hat, sir.
Excuse me.
Edward puffed in.
Hello, Hiro. You look worried.
Not at all.
Then there was trouble.
Blistering boilers. In all my long years, I've never seen that before.
Hiro was worried for the Fat Controller.
Sir, can I help you, sir?
It's a very busy day, Hiro. I have to visit the Thin Controller. I must talk with him about the railways.
Hiro knew this was important.
I understand, sir.
I must be away from Knapford.
Of course, sir.
Now Edward was worried.
Sir?
Not now, Edward.
Edward was still worried.
I have to pick up visitors from Brendam Docks. I don't know where to take them.
Hiro didn't know where the visitors should go either, but he didn't want to bother the Fat Controller. Then an idea flew into his funnel.
Take them to the hills, Edward. They will enjoy the hills.
So Edward puffed away to Brendam Docks and the hills. Hiro felt happy. He was master of the railway as he liked to be. Hiro puffed up to the water tower. Thomas was there. He was taking on water.
Hello, Thomas.
Hello, Hiro.
Where are you going, Thomas?
To Knapford. I must ask the Fat Controller where to take these crates of benches and tables.
Hiro still didn't want to bother the Fat Controller.
The Fat Controller is busy now, Thomas. He will tell you where to go later. You have time to visit your friend, Farmer Trotter.
So Thomas chuffed cheerfully away to Farmer Trotter's farm. Hiro was happy. He was helping the Fat Controller. Hiro steamed up to a junction. Percy was there. He had a flatbed full of quacking ducks.
Hello, Percy. How are you?
Percy was worried.
Hello, Hiro. These ducks are very noisy. They want to go swimming. I have to find the Fat Controller. He will tell me where I must take them for a swim.
Hiro still didn't want to bother the Fat Controller.
The Fat Controller is very busy, Percy. Perhaps you could puff to the Finland. The ducks will be happy there.
Thank you, Hiro.
Hiro was happy. Helping the Fat Controller was the best job he had ever had. Hiro huffed happily to a crossing. The Fat Controller was there.
Hiro, while I was with the Thin Controller, I heard worrying news. Farmer McColl is waiting for his ducks. There are no tables or benches for the concert at tea time. And Edward is late for a concert at the town hall.
Hiro gasped. The Fat Controller was cross. The Fat Controller was cross with him, and it was all his fault. Hiro felt worse than ever. He had been master of the railway, and now he was master of the muddle.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm very sorry, sir. I knew you were very busy. I wanted to help, so I told the engines what to do. I didn't want to bother you, sir.
The Fat Controller gasped.
You didn't want to bother me? I am controller of the railway. Nothing is more important to me than my engines being really useful.
Hiro gulped.
I know that now, sir. I'm not master of the railway. I'm master of the muddle. I can put this right. Please give me time.
And Hiro wheeshed quickly away. Hiro found Edward in the hills.
Hello, Hiro. My visitors are very happy.
Good, Edward. But now, you must take the visitors to Knapford Station. The Fat Controller will give you your orders.
I thought we weren't to bother the Fat Controller, Hiro.
I was wrong, Edward. The Fat Controller didn't want that at all.
And Hiro steamed swiftly away. Hiro whooshed up to Farmer Trotter's farm.
Hello, Thomas.
Hello, Hiro. I'm having a wonderful time with the piglets.
Good, Thomas, my friend. But now, you must puff as fast as you can to Knapford. The Fat Controller is waiting with orders for you.
I thought we weren't to bother the Fat Controller, Hiro.
I was wrong, Thomas. The Fat Controller didn't want that at all.
Bye, Hiro.
Hiro clickety-clacked onto the Fenland track. Percy was there. The ducks were swimming happily.
Hello, Percy.
Hello, Hiro. The ducks are very happy.
I'm pleased to hear that, Percy. But now, you must take the ducks to Knapford. The Fat Controller has orders for you.
I thought we weren't to bother the Fat Controller.
I was wrong, Percy. The Fat Controller didn't want that at all.
But how can I get the ducks back into their crates?
I will help you, Percy.
Hiro blew his whistle. It sounded like a duck quacking. The ducks flapped and flew into their crates.
Thank you, Hiro.
Later, the Fat Controller had given his orders to the engines.
Now, you all know what you have to do. Chuff away and be really useful.
Hiro puffed forward.
And what shall I do, sir?
You, Hiro, will do what you have always done. You will be helpful, Hiro. Helping me.
And nothing could have made Hiro happier. Creaky Cranky. It was the spring holiday on Sodor. There was to be a party for the children at the Duke and Duchess's new summer house. All the engines were very excited and very busy. Thomas chuffed cheerfully into the docks. James and Henry were passing through.
Good morning, James. Good morning, Henry. Where are you puffing to?
I'm taking these straw bales to the summer house for the children to climb on.
I'm taking wood to make a stage for the children's show and barrels of lemonade to drink.
How wonderful. I'll see you later at the summer house. Good morning, Cranky.
What's good about it?
It's the Duke and Duchess's party day.
Party, smarty. I don't go to parties. I'm stuck here loading and unloading all day. I haven't had a moment to rest my hook.
That load is for me. It's eggs for the children to paint. Hurry up, Cranky. You're Creaky Cranky. What's the matter? Are the eggs too heavy a load for you?
Cranky didn't like Thomas's joke. He didn't like being called Creaky.
No, they're not too heavy for me. They're light as fluff. You're not strong enough to pull anything heavier than fluff, Tiny Thomas. That's why Henry and James have the heavy loads.
Now Thomas didn't like Cranky's joke.
Fizzling fireboxes. I'm as strong as any other engine.
You're not as strong as me. I can lift much heavier loads than you could ever pull.
Thomas really didn't like that.
We'll see, Cranky. I have lots of time to deliver the eggs. First, I have to prove Cranky wrong. James has a heavy load. I'll go and find James.
So Thomas steamed sternly out of the docks. Thomas found James at the junction by the washdown.
Hello, James. I don't have a lot of jobs today. Shall I deliver your heavy load of wood and barrels for you? You can stay here at the washdown. Then you'll be perfectly polished for the party.
James thought this was a very good idea.
Thank you, Thomas.
So James was uncoupled from the heavy flatbed of wood and Thomas was coupled up. The flatbed was heavy. Huffing and puffing, Thomas set off for the docks. Thomas chuffed back into the docks.
You again? What are you doing with that wood?
This flatbed is very heavy. I'm sure you can't lift it.
Cranky looked at the flatbed of wooden barrels.
I'm sure I can.
Cranky's hook swung low over the wood. Thomas watched and waited. With a creak and a crank and a crank and a creak, Cranky raised the flatbed into the air. Thomas's boiler buzzed.
Told you so.
You're still Creaky Cranky.
And you're still Tiny Thomas.
That made Thomas very cross.
I will prove Cranky wrong and still have time to deliver the eggs. I'm sure Henry had an even heavier load. I'll go and find Henry.
So Thomas steamed stormily away. Thomas found Henry waiting by the coal hopper for his special coal.
Hello, Henry. I don't have a lot of jobs today. Shall I deliver your heavy load of straw bales for you? Then you can wait here for your special coal.
Henry thought this was a very good idea.
Thank you, Thomas.
So Henry was uncoupled from the heavy flatbed of straw bales, and Thomas was coupled up. The flatbed was very heavy. Huffing and puffing, Thomas set off once more for the docks. Soon, Thomas puffed back into the docks.
You again? Now what are you doing with those straw bales?
This flatbed is very, very heavy. I'm sure you can't lift this.
Cranky looked at the flatbed of straw bales.
I'm sure I can.
Cranky's hook swung low over the straw. Thomas watched and waited. With a creak and a crank and a crank and a creak, Cranky raised a flatbed of straw into the air. Thomas's funnel fizzed.
Told you so.
You're still Creaky Cranky.
And you're still Tiny Thomas.
That made Thomas even crosser. More than ever, Thomas wanted to prove Creaky Cranky wrong. He had to find the heaviest thing he could. Then an idea flew into his funnel.
Lift me, Cranky.
Cranky looked at Thomas. He couldn't let Thomas win. Cranky's hook swung low over Thomas. Thomas hardly dared puff. With a creak and a crank and a crank and a creak, and very, very slowly, Cranky raised Thomas high into the air.
Bubbling boilers! Creaky Cranky is lifting me.
Then there was trouble. Cranky creaked louder than ever. His crane arm stuttered and judded. It creaked and it croaked. Then it cracked.
Oh, no.
Cranky's crane arm had broken, and it was all Thomas's fault. Thomas was stuck high in the sky and blowing in the breeze. Then the Fat Controller arrived.
Thomas! What are you doing up there?
I'm sorry, sir.
You are causing confusion and delay. The Duke and Duchess have no wood, straw bales or eggs. Now I see you have them all here. Cranky is broken, and you, Thomas, think it's a good time to try being a bird. The Duke and Duchess are waiting.
Thomas felt very silly. Then the Fat Controller looked at Cranky.
And you're as silly as Thomas.
Cranky crumpled.
The shame to be as silly as a steamy.
Soon a workman had climbed up Cranky. Slowly and carefully, Thomas was lowered and landed with a jolt and a judder. Just as Spencer arrived.
Dear, oh dear, Thomas, what a mess. Little engines can get into very big trouble.
Thomas felt even sillier in front of Spencer, but he knew now that being strong was only good if you were also really useful, and he had to be really useful.
Spencer, I need your help. You are very strong and can pull much heavier loads than me. Will you take the wood, the straw bales and the eggs to the summer house for me, please? It's my fault that Cranky is broken. I must put everything right as quickly as I can.
Very well.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Cranky. I know you're strong, stronger than me. I'll be back soon with the right parts to fix you.
Then Thomas pumped his pistons and puffed out of the docks. Thomas wheeshed like the wind, all the way to the steamworks.
Hello, Victor. Cranky creaked and now he's cracked. He needs new parts.
You've come to the right place, my friend. Parts are plenty here. We'll have Cranky up and lifting in no time.
Soon Thomas's flatbed was loaded with new parts for Cranky.
Thank you, Victor.
Of course, my friend. Give Cranky my best.
And Thomas huffed happily away. Thomas puffed into the docks with his heavy flatbed. Cranky was still looking crumpled.
Here you are, Cranky. We'll have you fixed in no time.
Thank you, Thomas. That's a heavy flatbed. You know, you're not tiny.
And you're not creaky.
Cranky laughed, and that made Thomas laugh too.